Assessment techniques has given me a better understanding of how and why we assess students. I now have pertinent knowledge of the technical aspects of testing, ethical test administering skills, interpretation of test scores, and IEP and IFSP development. Our students learn and process information in many different ways. This is why differentiating instruction has become so crucial to learning. A learning styles assessment will assess how a student best learns. By giving your students a learning styles assessment, you can learn whether or not they are visual learners, auditory learners, or tactile learners. I have decided to make this my first assignment in any and all of my classrooms in the future. I think this is a great diagnostic tool to help plan and differentiate instruction effectively. I found a great assessment on educationplanner.org. I took the test myself, and I felt that the criteria that it was assessing was what I find most important to decide how my students learn best. Self and peer evaluations are great feedback strategies that hold students accountable for their work. These can be extremely beneficial because they help improve students' metacognitive skills as well as their understanding of the material. Self-evaluations allow for the students to become independent learners. They evaluate the quality of their own work and their participation in group work. Peer evaluations allow for students to evaluate the work of their classmates while holding them accountable to their peers. This also allows the students to compare their individual work to their classmates, thus allowing for more self-evaluation. When using peer and self-evaluations on classwork or activities in the classroom, teachers need to provide guidelines or even a rubric for the students to use so that we can ensure that this feedback is reliable and valid and fair. The standards are extremely important to instruction and assessment. They give us a well-defined expected outcome, as well as giving us a clear and precise starting point for the path of instruction. Since my emphasis for my degree is in math and social studies, I chose a standard in each of these areas. For my math unit, I chose fractions standards, and for my social studies unit, I chose a civics lesson on the 3 branches of government. Skittles Math is an activity using Skittles candy to demonstrate knowledge of fractions. This performance assessment is a great diagnostic tool to assess students' current level of understanding of fractions before I begin my unit. This will most likely keep the students fully engaged because they get to eat the candy at the end of the lesson. I plan for this to be a group activity. I will place the students in groups, and I have created a checklist corresponding to expected learning objectives. I'll probably walk around the classroom and observe the students as they work in their groups and do each student's individual checklist as I'm observing the group work. For my civics assessment, I opted to create my own diagnostic assessment. This way, I was able to selectively choose what information I need to validly assess the students in order to most effectively plan the unit instruction. Technology has become extremely crucial to education. As one of the conceptual frameworks of UAM's School of Education and a dominant component of Danielson's framework and tests, I decided to use technology several times throughout my assessments. I chose IXL for my math formative assessment. This is an online program that provides comprehensive content aligned to the standards. It provides unlimited access, and the progress can be tracked not only by the students and the teachers, but also by the parents. You can log on to the website, and with your child's username and password, you can see actually what lessons they have completed and the score that they made. I have created and designed actually a pathway with the specific lessons related to the expected learning targets for the fractions unit. I figured this is something that the students can place in maybe their binders, and as they master an objective, I can highlight it or initial it. And with them keeping this in their binders, it allows them to visually track their progress throughout the unit. My civics lesson will require students to complete an individual project. They will use the internet and other resources for research, as well as they are given the opportunity to use presentation software like PowerPoint or Prezi to do a presentation. The presentation is optional. In this project, they can do a poster or they can create a game. I just want them to use their creativity while also allowing me to see whether or not that they've learned the information they should have learned. I've provided a rubric that explains what information should be included in the project and also the point values for each of those items. I also found a great website called Ben's Guide to U.S. Government for Kids. This online site provides interactive activities, giving the students opportunity to apply the knowledge that they have learned and also see what areas they need improvement in. When creating my teacher-made formative assessments, I realized that domains 1 and 3 of Danielson's framework heavily influenced my decisions. I had to precisely choose items that were aligned with the standards and that would effectively assess what has been taught thus far in the lesson. For my civics assessment, I included multiple choice, fill in the blank, and matching questions. To modify the math formative assessments, I lessened the number of questions as well as the difficulty level of the questions. And I also did the same to modify my civics assessment. Summative assessments are generally given at the end of a unit. I designed comprehensive assessments of all of the knowledge that the students are expected to have learned by the end of the unit. Again, I used a variety of questioning styles. If your results from your summative assessment show that most students didn't meet the expected goal or goals, your summative assessment becomes a formative assessment. Now it's a formative assessment letting you know that the students didn't learn what they needed to learn. So this lets you know that you may need to go back and reteach the unit or probably just parts of the unit. To modify my summative assessments, I again just lessened the number of questions on the assessment as well as the difficulty level. And then on my civics assessment, in my multiple choice questions, I gave 3 choices instead of 4. And then I also provided word banks for the fill in the blank questions. This portfolio process for assessment techniques has helped me gain a better understanding also of the importance of Charlotte Danielson's framework, UAM School of Education conceptual frameworks, tests, and also the standards. I've learned how important these components are and also how they correlate to assessments. These components heavily influenced my decisions when I was doing my teacher-made assessments. And then also, while I was choosing my items to include in my portfolio, I become aware that these components heavily influenced these decisions also. I wanted to ensure that my portfolio efficiently reflected my current understanding of the course as well as the professor's expected outcomes, and I hope that it has done so. Thanks for watching.